Um, I'm a poet. I
Yeah.
teach creative writing. However, on the flip side, I've always like been on the business side of writing too. It's something that I now talk about on my Twitter. But I used to like I started off as a freelancer while I was in school. I was freelancing on Fiverr, freelancing on Upwork. But I moved from that to actually like writing for Phoenix Browser. I was their content operator. And I was leading teams across Africa. Before I started my MFA program, I transitioned into being a content designer, doing UX writing and all of that. And from there, I do storytelling for Calm. It's all of these things actually like are things that coupled with the fact that I'm also a creative writer are things that actually like position me as somebody who might know a little about putting works in places and getting, that's why I'm like really excited to talk to people about it. How much time do I have?
Well, you have let's say an hour,
No,
but of course
I don't think I have
you know.
I don't think I have a lot to say. I don't think I have so much to say. I
Okay,
think
that's no
that,
problem.
yeah,
We
I
have
think that,
questions. Yes, we
yeah,
have
sure, sure.
questions.
I
So
can
you can
always
just go
answer.
ahead and then as the conversation continues, we'll then ask specific questions.
I can't share my screen.
Oh, apologies. Let me give you permission to share.
Okay, thank you. Like that.
You
I
should be able
wrote
to do that now. Yes.
I wrote out a few things that I wanted to like, share with people.
That's
Um,
perfect. That's perfect. Thanks a lot.
can you see my screen? Let me
Yes, I
see.
can. Every other person can also let us know if they can see. You can just drop a comment, but I can't see.
All right, good. So writing and publishing, pitching, writing successfully. Like I said, I, I, I might, if I get into the groove, be telling stories as I talk about these things because I like to, of course, tell stories. But I remember that I was so happy. My friends and I, we had discovered Fiverr and we were writing 2K words for $5. And that was in 2015, 2016. Between 2015 2016, I was fresh off my ND program, and I was actually like transitioning into my HND program. So around that time I was actually like freelancing to actually like just make ends meet while I was doing my internship, but I opened my Fiverr account for like a month and a half. I didn't get anything. Nobody asked me that, oh, what about your service and all of that. So one thing that I actually want us to hold on to right now is the fact that you should actually like specialize. You should have a niche. So once you find your niche, whether you're doing whether you're a creative writer or whether you're a business writer or whatever kind of writer you are. In fact, if you're not a writer, actually, if you're like if you're a content designer or if you are like a product designer itself, I think that one of the things that actually puts people on the edge is that the fact that they are able to like pitch better to agencies, pitch better to companies if they have a specialization. If you design stuff, but you say that, okay, I'm just going to like focus my energy on designing financial stuff, making financial landing pages, making financial apps and all of that, designing financial apps. I think it gives you an edge over people who actually like do a lot of other things. Although it sort of like puts you in a box, right? But in that box, you become the boss of the box, if that makes any sense. You know, the fact that you are able to like just be in that box and know everything that has to do concerning the box, rather than just be Jack that knows everything, right? But they do not exactly specialize. Right now, I as a poet, I barely submit to places. I can't remember. I think I've not submitted. I think I've only submitted my individual poems, apart from my book that I'm actually like trying to get published, I've only submitted my individual book, my individual poems rather, in January, and that was because I wanted to actually like get into that particular place, you know. But throughout the year, I've been getting solicitations from people, like people, magazines who actually want my work to be featured alongside some other people's work. And I think that one of the reasons why that is because I am known to be a poet. You know, I have a specialization too, is that I also have an identity. I am known to be a Nigerian poet first, of course, then an African poet, then maybe a new generational African poet, then maybe a poet, an African poet living in America. You know, all of this identity would begin to fall in place. But first, they have to like identify you with something. The fact that you write. What do you write? You write poetry. And then, you know, all this being said, it's also very important that you actually like, you know, master whatever craft that you're doing. Like before you start to like pitch, it's very important that you gain mastery of your craft. So that means that there are several nights that you're actually either reading books, reading blogs, reading articles, writing, rewriting, doing content editing, you know, editing your own creative writing, just first off. And then, like you rightly said, I think, you know, groups like StartCulture is actually like a very good place to actually get feedbacks. But one thing I've noticed about feedbacks is that people like to get feedback, but they don't like to give it. So the kind of energy that you want to like, you know, give is that, and that is something that I actually like, you know, I didn't fully understand it until I actually like started. I was in my master's program for my MFA, Masters of Fine Art, at the Agbowó Writers Workshop. I wasn't the only, but I was the only Nigerian poet, or yeah, the only African poet in my cohort, that in my year. There were other African poets around, like in the second year or at dawn, and are just like teaching. But I was the only African poet. So the people that I was actually like workshopping with were white people who didn't barely understood where I was coming from. They barely understood the story I'm telling. And because of that, I was like, oh, since you didn't understand, then I don't necessarily need to actually like, you know, put so much pressure trying to understand you too. Although, yeah, because I left Nigeria and I now live in the US, I can sort of like associate myself with some of the experiences that they are trying to write about, the funny things, although sometimes I struggle with what is funny in America, right? But I could at least identify with the fact that I now live in America, so maybe this makes sense. But they could not identify with me. What did I do? What I did was that, first off, I tried to understand them better. When after that, I started to like pay close attention to their own work, talk about their work more. And because of that energy, I started to get that kind of energy back from them, because they felt read, they felt important, they felt like, oh, this guy is actually like paying attention and putting so much energy into our work. So we have to like, you know, probably like, you know, try to like understand him. I randomly like, so I do workshops on Mondays, on Fridays, Saturdays, I randomly get emails asking me questions about what particular experience I'm writing about, you know, and that makes me feel like, okay, yeah, I can actually like grow in this place, because I feel like people are trying to understand my story. And that is the kind of energy I want us to actually like take back into our peer groups. You know, the kind of energy where you are paying close attention to the works of other people. That way you get tiered feedback, you get constructive feedback, you understand people. In fact, when you get constructive feedback, you know that you are getting it because they understand where you're coming from, or they understand the kind of story you're writing, or they understand the kind of poem you're writing, or they understand the kind of philosophy you're putting into the content design that you're trying to like create. You know, so let's just move on. So in essence, what I'm trying to say is that be very aware, be very present wherever it is that you are, with yourself, with other people. So I'm just going to go straight into, so I think I have a list of like 6 steps into like like pitching your work and all of that. But I must have mentioned most of those things in my introduction. So let's see. Yeah. So research. If you, whether you're like a content designer, a poet, a fiction writer, um, I must admit that I've actually like throughout my life, I've been like throughout my career, I've been quite lucky. And I'm not going to like, take that for granted and not mention that. I have been very lucky. I currently write sleep stories for Calm. I don't know if you guys know Calm. Calm is like the biggest meditation app in the world. And so I'm like I think one of the three African writers who are writing sleep stories of African experience for them. And I write about my childhood. Like I simply just write about my childhood, the things, the fun things that we did in my childhood, like traveling from Ibadan to Lagos to Bar Beach, that is now no longer in existence. Like going to traveling from Ibadan to Ijebu to greet my grandfather. All of these very interesting, subtle, calming experiences are things that I'm writing for them. And why I said I'm lucky is because I just randomly checked my email one day and I found the editor of Calm reach out to me to say, would I be interested in writing sleep stories for them? That's why I'm lucky, right? However, what I must have done was that I was writing poetry. And I got published in places that the editor had read. And the editor was like very interested in my work. So this is exactly why it's actually very important to actually like place your work in places. You need digital footprints. I'm going to be probably like just casually gisting with you guys on why you probably need digital footprints, right? But let's just go into, so step one into researching, identify platforms. Make a list of local and international platforms where you'd like to pitch. I didn't write it down, but if you're a creative writer, you can actually just write this down or Google this. Chillsub, CHILLSUB.com, I think. Chillsub or Chillsubs. It's either singular. The sub is either singular or plural. I can't remember now. But it's a very good platform where it sort of like helps you aggregate all of the what's it called? Chillsubs helps you aggregate all of the journals and magazines that are currently open. Places that pay you, places that are open for awards, places that are open. They in fact let you know when the deadline is. They notify you. They let you help you track your submission processes. All of these things are actually like I if we are able to, we'll be more productive. We're able to like automate our submission processes. That's number one. So you have to like identify platforms, know the kind of platforms. Now, one of the things that people don't do that I think that they should start doing is understanding the kind of stories, the style of stories, the style that people publish, the places that they are pitching to. What are they publishing? What are they? What are they? What stories are they interested in? In Agbowó, this is a secret, but I'm going to tell you that we are always looking for we're always looking for stories that are outside the box. Yes, we know that we're suffering in Africa. Yes, we know that women are which cannot be overstated. Which cannot be like it can never be overstated. Women are marginalized, queer people are marginalized, right? We cannot overstate that. However, we're looking for stories that are brilliant, but are also that are told brilliantly, that are stories of everyday life of everybody, or everyday life in somebody else's life, but are told brilliantly. So when my editors are reading submissions, or when my editors are reading works that are put to the table by our readers, they are looking for stories that are very bold, very different from, if we have like 30 stories that we have to select from. Meanwhile, we must have selected 30 outside of like 400 or 300 sometimes. We are looking for people that must have read the kind of stories that we've published in Agbowó before and are writing towards that idea or those ideologies. So it's very important. I barely even know, I understand it, but I barely even understood it until I started to study the philosophy of management, how people actually like try to like create an entire brand. We got we recently hired a new fiction editor, Adedayo, who is a lecturer at University of Iowa. Now, and then he told me one day, was like, one of the things that he likes about the works that we've published is that it seems as if everybody reads Agbowó so that they can submit to Agbowó. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what we're trying to do. Like, the idea is that you're able to, like, first of all, be our reader before you need to actually, like, be part of the culture before you belong to the culture, before you carry the emblem of the culture. So the third thing is submission guideline. Everybody should read submission guidelines. We are not writing them for as a means of decoration. We put in fact, we're moving a step further now to go beyond just creating submission guidelines, to actually create a brand guideline, like guidelines that are actually, like, the kind of language that we expect, or that would naturally just want to, like, be interested in reading. Read submission guidelines, read our editorial guideline, create, all of these things are actually very important, and they would contribute to your success. I don't know. Yeah. So, 2, networking. This is a point where I apologize to Yomi. I've been very bad with communication. And that's because first off, I like to actually, like, connect with people, and I think that that's actually, like, I don't know, it's both good and bad. I like to connect with people casually so that I'm able to, like, connect to them better, because I meet people over emails a lot, and I just realized that, first off, if you're Nigerian, why are you trying to send me an email? Like, I'm very accessible. Like, I'm always either joking on Twitter when I'm not working, or when I'm even working, I'm like, a joke just randomly comes to mind, and I'm like tweeting about it, or I'm sharing my picture on my Instagram, or I'm making a video, or I'm just having fun. So I feel like that's enough avenue for people to actually, like, people who we share the same identity, to actually, like, reach out to me. So that is the kind of networking that I would like, but also people would actually appreciate that people are reaching out to them about opportunities to speak, opportunities to actually, like, lead stuff like this. So email is great, but of course, why we have social media is because it's social media, social first, and then media later. You can use that to actually, like, leverage and you can use that to leverage. You can use that to actually, like, connect with people. One thing that I did before I became quite a formidable African writer was that I was in the faces of I was on the lips of people, both white and home and abroad. I had been a member of WRR, World Rhymes and Readings, in 2013, far back 2013, when World Rhymes and Reading was like the face of Nigerian/African poetry. I had been a member. From there, I moved into actually going for events, Live Fest, Ake Festival. From there, I started reading for magazines. I was reading for Barron magazine. I was reading for several international magazines. While I was reading, first off is that people that know other people at other magazines might actually, like, just casually say, oh, there's this guy that's actually reading for us now. His name is Adedayo Agarau. You should probably check out his work. People read my work, and then they reach out to me, oh, I read your work, somebody recommended it. This is very little ways. You have to, like, be very conscious and very intentional about the kind of brand you're building for yourself, about the kind of future you're building for yourself. So you connect on social media, you follow editors, you follow relevant stuff. In fact, just say you didn't finish reading it, but just say, oh, I just casually read blah 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 blah. I just casually read the editorial notes of this guy. I think it's actually really strong. If I see your name on, or if I casually go into our poetry slush pile, or I go into our fiction slush pile, and I remember that, oh, you added me on Twitter, you tweeted at me someday. I'm like, oh, this guy, I'll be first interested in reading your story, because your name sticks, because I remember your name, right? So that's one thing. Engage in conversations. I mean, just put your out. Don't be too out there, but also, like, contribute sensibly. pardon my language. I didn't mean to say that anybody was insensible. But contributes essential stuff to the ongoing conversation. If you don't have anything to say, you don't necessarily have to say anything. Just retweet. But if you think that you have a strong opinion, right, and you phrase it well, God has actually like even made life easy now. If you phrase something, just Google and just copy and paste it into ChatGPT. Say, help me reward. It is as simple as that. Help me reward, so that you can sound professional, so that they would actually like take you serious. I know somebody. I have a friend who is also a freelancer, a very brilliant writer. But the way he actually writes on Twitter is very funny, because he actually literally is a brilliant writer, no doubt. When he's a different beast when he's actually like getting work done. But the way he communicates like, almost today, that kind of thing. The vibe is great, but it's your personal brand. When you're reaching out to people, when you're doing cold emailing, or your code reaching out to people, right? Your code pitching yourself. People might be prompt to actually go down your Twitter, or go down your Instagram, or just go down your social media to see the people they want to be associated with. So you have to like coordinate yourself socially, put yourself out there, but be sure that you're actually like putting yourself in the right light, if that makes any sense. So direct outreach, like Oriyomi did. She sent direct email. I'm like, oh, I saw the email, but yeah, that's that. She sent an email to me, and I do not take that for granted. So that is one of the ways that we actually like able to like connect with one another. But of course, if you're actually like serious. So a very interesting one was that I wrote a review of a book recently. I wrote the review, and I wrote the review because I was very interested in the writer, and I was like, oh, I know I regularly have places I can actually like just send them to, that they would actually like just pick it up, but because I need more bylines that are looking serious on my CV, more serious bylines, right? And I someday imagine myself that I would probably like be a reviewer. I like to take up works and consider them critically. I reached out to Los Angeles Review of Books. No, I reached out to several people, right? Several of those platforms. New York Review of Books, The Drift, Los Angeles Review of Books, and all of Oxford Review of all of those things that have review of books at their back. I reached out to them that, oh, I have this review. Are you interested in publishing it? I am almost done with it, but I'm actually refining it. I showed them the framework. I showed them what I'm writing about. I showed them my touch points, and I created a draft, and I handed that to actually. So all of them, they didn't get back to me through their emails. Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? Okay,
Yes,
good.
sir.
So they didn't get back to me. Oh, great. They didn't get back to me until I reached out to the editor of LA Review of Books through a personal email. So one of the ways you can actually go about that is that just Google, what's it called? What's that platform? I've forgotten it now. You can actually just Google, just first of all, check out for the Google the staff of wherever you're pitching, right? Then what you do is that after you Google them, you see the person you want to pitch directly. If they have their emails there, attach their email, copy their email in the email that you're sending as a pitch. If they don't, Google editor of so place, their name, comma, personal email. Last, you will see one or two relevant sources, relevant search queries that would actually bring up stuff for you that you can actually use. The last thing that can happen is for you to get the mail demon that, oh, this is a wrong email, right? But at least you tried. So what I did was that I actually reached out to her, and then immediately, it was that same day that she was like, oh, I love this writer. I know about you, blah, blah, blah. It's barely about they know about me, but it's more about the fact that I actually reached out. They might know about me, but they didn't know that I was actually like doing that kind of work or reviewing that person's book, So that review actually got published, I think this month, like 2 weeks ago. Yeah. But that's the story I was trying to direct outreach is actually very important, but you have to like do that critically. You have to like do that tactically to be sure who you're pitching to and be sure that you're also like pitching the correct person. Let me just move fast. So yeah, pitch itself. I wish I was able to create something stronger than this, but I couldn't, sadly, and I'm sorry. But yeah, this is a framework of how to pitch, crafting a pitch, subject line. There's something they call lead in what's it called in both content designs and content writing. A lead is the introductory sentence that is able to capture both the idea and the attention. So it's a two-way thing. It's like coming from end to end. It's coming from you and it's going to them. So it's like communication. When you say noise means that it's either you that is not coherent or is the person that can't hear. So once you're like passing out information to somebody and they can't hear, it's probably noise to other people, but you are trying to communicate, right? So now you are creating a lead. The lead is capturing your own idea, but it's also like able to land their own attention. So your subject line, but everything that you're doing in a pitch should actually carry very strong leads, very strong introductory sentences. Use why we have the internet is because we have access to data. Data, even for creative writing, data is very important. If I'm going to send a pitch now, tomorrow, about my book that I'm writing about, I'll tell them that 70% of the people that come for MFA, the Africans that come for MFA, are unable to get published because the stories they are telling it wrong. They are telling it right to the wrong audience, right? But and then I'll probably say, I probably wrote this book with my readers in mind. That way, first off, my whoever I'm pitching to will be like, okay, what did they even write? Go. You understand? So you have to craft a very compelling. I use the word compelling because it has to be compelling. It has to compel them to want to reopen the email at all, And then a good way to actually you should have one of the things that I do is that I actually snoop on people if they've read my email or not. I have this what's it called? What's that thing called on Chrome? That this attachment extension on Chrome that lets me know. You can just say email receipt on Google Chrome on store, whatever. So it lets you know when people have actually read your email. So that 3 days later, if they've read it, if it tells you that they've read it, that they didn't get back to you 3 days or 7 days later, send a follow-up. Oh, I thank you very much for reading my email. And I'm wondering if you blah, 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 blah. So, however, create an introduction. Your introduction should actually talk about how you got to know them or the long process at which you got their email from because of how serious you are about getting into their platform, and then move from there to discussing why it is very important that they publish you, why you chose them. Then you go to the idea, what you're writing about. Then you probably casually just do touch points on where and where and where. This is why digital footprint is very important, although you have to start somewhere, but you are able to pitch higher to even stronger platforms because you've had work in some the worst that can happen is that you publish at all. Once you publish at all, you already have the bragging rights. Do you understand? I'm published here, I'm published here, I'm published here. Then you move from there. Then you close your email. Tell them that you're actually really interested in this and you are honored to work with them. Tell them that you chose them because you really believe in their editorial processes and you've read works now. In fact, it's very important that you also make touch points to work that they've also published before. Tell them that you're writing, the review you're writing or the work you're doing currently is paying solidarity to a particular work that they've published on your platform. Quote the work, put hyperlink, link it there, tell them that this person wrote the work. Just be in their faces. It is very important for you to be very intentional if you want to craft pitches. The next thing two things can either come back. Whether they tell you that, oh, we're not interested in this, or they ask you that, how much are you interested in taking for this article you're writing? So, and two things are also involved. It's either you go back to the drawing board and you go to the next person you're pitching to, give them the same number, not necessarily number, but you know what I mean. Give them the same idea, you understand? Or you send them your invoice. Two things are also involved. Work with them as they edit they tell you, oh, they love it, or they tell you they overhaul it. We like your writing, but this is the idea we want you to follow. This is how we want you to write it. We are really interested in this thing you're actually taking on, and would prefer that you write it rather than our staff writing it. Do you understand? Because it just makes us look neutral, blah, 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 blah. Let me tell you the truth. Even for creative writers, people are looking for people to review things. Very soon now, I'll be using my personal phone to actually commission reviews for Agbowó, because the critical landscape is very poor. People are not interested. People are only interested in churning out stuff. Nobody's interested in reviewing stuff that are being churned out. Nobody is actually doing the quality survey, quality assurance, doing the quality check on works that we have. So yeah, that is how to actually craft a pitch. Yeah. Let's see. What do we have next? Yeah, I already mentioned this. You can follow up. You can send a polite follow up if you haven't heard back in a week or two. Ask them that, oh, you sent a pitch that you're now, that in fact tell them that you even reworked some of the ideas. You did this, you did that. Just give them touch points, something to have them to show them that you're actually very committed to this, right? So ChillSoft that I mentioned earlier, I don't know if you guys remember it, but ChillSoft that I mentioned earlier is a very good resource to look to get places that are actually reviewing, that are accepting essays, places that are accepting poetry, places that are accepting fiction. For content writers, I think a good way to pitch, I'm just going to do this because money is important. A good way to actually do cold pitching is to look for, narrow down the niche that you're looking for. Example, if you're a content writer and you're very interested in beauty and beauty products, look for, just say, I live in Oakland, just say beauty and fashion companies in Oakland. Then it would give you blah, blah, blah. It will give you it will help you create Google search will bring up all of them. Start checking their websites one by one. See, all of this is just a day job. If you want to pitch, research itself is just a day job, because you just give you, then you go into their email, go into their website, see, oh, this person's website is not even properly written. Send them an email, create your draft for them that, oh, this is what I've done. Send them website you worked on. This is what I've done. This is what I've done. This is what I've done. This is where I've worked. This is my work right now. Send them pictorial evidence of your work. Long text bore people, and that's the truth. If you're writing, if you are pitching, especially for website and content writers, if you are pitching people, right, and you're sending long text, nobody's going to read it. Why they won't read it is because the attention span is very low. If you're sending an email to me and you're attaching 17 PDFs that contains works you've done, I will That goes for creative writers too. Somebody, we say submit 3 poems. Somebody submitted a whole book. We will not even read it. You understand? So it's just very important that you actually like are able to like, create Notion. Notion is free. You can use Notion to actually like, do touch points of workshop places. Even me, as I did like this, I'm looking for a job. I'm trying to transition from where I currently work. I work for Tech Mahindra, and we collaborate with Google. So we're currently working on Google's product as Google's Magai. I don't know if you guys have seen it, Google's Lab, where if you punch something into Google, now Google is going to like help you aggregate all of your answers, just show you, like ChatGPT. It is we that we are doing it. We are actually like doing content design for Google to train the AI on how to answer people's queries. But I'm tired of that. I've been working on that for like 6 months now. I'm tired of it. I need new. What I'm saying is, in essence, is that me too, as I do like this, I am creating and recreating my portfolio. I am reworking my portfolio. I am very interested in product management. I have a whole ass product. I have projects that I've done. I have transferable skills. I am reworking my portfolio. These are things that you can actually like create pictorial evidences. Google sample, a portfolio sample for content writer, portfolio sample for use Linktree. Just create something that is visually appealing, something that is able to like draw people in, so that you know exactly like for them, So yeah, that's that. So after you must have successfully pitched, that's if step 1 to 5 is complete successfully. In fact, if it's not complete successfully, one of the things that you should actually like, be able to, you should look forward to doing is to actually like, staying in touch or building relationships. Well, I don't think this should be hard. Anyways, if you've done work for people and you didn't burn the bridge, I think you can always reach out to them to say, oh, this is what I'm currently working on. I wonder if you are like interested in actually like publishing it. It's as simple as that, because you've done great work before, and your great work will continue to speak for you. I read at Barron magazine. I left Barron magazine because I left Barron magazine because it was I think I left during the NSAS. Oh, before NSAS. I left because they were always dumping work on me, right? But I sent them an email, a very nice email, to say, oh, thank you very much. Working here has been great. I've learned a lot of things. And however, I realized that it's been eating into my time too much, and it's really burnt out because I am also a student, and this and that and this and that. I gave them touch points. I did them very important points. And they understood. I left there and I became an editor. I left there literally, and I went to take more work somewhere else. I became an editor of African and international voices at Ice Flow Press. I became, at that position, I took up book acquisition. Now, book acquisition means I will be reading books and be telling them what books to publish and what books not to publish, right? I was reading books. So I took more work, but I enjoyed the culture there because they were supportive. However, before I took that job, I made the person that I sent resignation letter to write me a recommendation because we had a relationship. Do you understand? That's where I'm going. Relationship is actually very important. We have to like build it. It's very, very important. And yeah, with these few points of mine, I hope I've been able to convince and not confuse you. That's yeah. Yeah, do you guys have any questions?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, great. Please, hit me.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. Kelvin. My name is Kelvin.
Hi, Kelvin.
Yeah, I'm great. Yeah. So I'm a writer and a poet.
Interesting.
Yeah. In fact, I even have more poetry published than even nonfiction. My nonfiction was recently published by Westerly. I don't know whether you know Westerly. It's a huge. It's one of the best Australian journals out there. And
Oh, really?
I
What's
write
the
across genres, and I do well in them. But for some reason, I don't know. I've been published. I have works in huge journals, but for some reason, I still think and I believe that I'm still unseen of sorts. Yeah. You need to see my submittable. I'm always submitting. I'm always I can even I can screenshot my accepted the accepted part of my submittable to you, in fact. But
you
you know,
know something? Let me just, I'm sorry if I am cutting you, but
yeah, it's okay. It's okay. I'm learning. So
submittable humbles everybody. It's not, yeah, I think that that is one thing that I should actually like, let us understand. Make peace with rejection. You
no,
are a
rejection is not
writer,
my problem. Rejection
and
is not my problem.
yeah,
I know I
make
should be. Rejection is normal. Do you understand? I'm
yeah.
just saying that for some reason I feel unseen. I don't know.
Okay. Okay, first, my question would be that who do you want to be available to? Who are you trying to like who do you want to whose attention are you trying to catch?
Okay, for instance, I'm publishing quite some big journals, but I also want other big journals to accept my work, to take me for, and
Okay.
for instance, I'm in the UK now, and I came here on a global talent visa,
Oh,
and
great.
global talent, right?
Of course.
Yeah, and it was just poetry I gave them, and in fact, they were so delighted, and wow, you've been endorsed and all of that, and I got my visa quickly, you know. But I've seen an editor who he was like Jesus. He was just that's the expression, is Jesus. These are fucking good poems, these are really good poems. But I've been published. It's not like I'm not published, I've been published.
I get
But
that.
I think I want more visibility by also other big journals, Maybe I'm being
Okay.
greedy or something, I don't know, but yeah.
Um, yeah. So let's leave me talking about pitching for a side, and I would actually like discuss this as an editor myself. And so now I'm an editor who also like happens to write. And luckily for both of us, I'm also a poet. The truth is that, first off, this is what I was saying about literary culture at magazines and journals. Your work, the fact that some places are actually like saying no does not dent, is not a dent on your work. It's
Okay.
not, it's not the fact that you're not a global talent, which of course you have proof that you are.
Yeah.
In fact, you should actually like be very glad that you are in that position. You have as much um, digital footprints to be able to like submit for such a reputable talent. I have a global talent, so by the way, but I live in the US. Um, I think that it's it has to do with literary culture. That's number one. Number two, by literary culture, let me break that down. What kind of work are we interested in publishing? What kind of voices are we interested in highlighting? What kind of identities are we interested in pushing forward for this issue? Per issue, in-house, this is an in-house secret. We have goals that we're trying to set, correct, that we're trying to like meet. It might be like, oh, we are just writing creative writing. Creative writing has gone from vibes and inshallah to people strategically, accepting works. Not because the works are the strongest in the slush pile, not because the works are the strong, but because these are the works that actually like,
The narrative it pushes. Yeah.
what did you say?
I say, I guess the politics and the narrative that it pushes.
Yeah, I would lean towards narrative more than politics. Although yes, politics is actually like very, very apt in this sense because yeah, but it's actually like very important to know that first off, one of the things that may help you, Kelvin, is that you should also like put yourself out. Very interestingly, I don't think I've read any of your work, and that's me talking from a Nigeria to. Are you Nigerian?
I'm Nigerian.
Yeah, talking from a Nigerian to a Nigerian, Kelvin. I don't think I've actually read any of your work, and this sort of like says something about your social media presence. Their work, there are writers who are writing from oblivion, which is great. If that's your style, super. In fact, I want to try. as much as possible to
Well,
go hiding. If
I
that's
think you are right. I think you are right because, for instance, now I just got published by Westerly. I have not posted it on any social media platform, and it's about 2 months ago I got published. I was paid. Me- Sometimes I just, I try because I see the literary. Okay, this is in-house. I'll just, push my sentiments. I think it's full, the literary business, like all art business, is full of a lot of envy, snakes, backbiting, and I don't have power for wahala. And the reason why I don't have power for wahala is because if you come if you come at me, you know, unjustly, because I understand criticism. In fact, I grew by criticism. Without criticism, you can't grow as a writer. I grew by criticism. But if you come at me because of, and I'm quick to discern, intentions. If you come at me, I'm sorry to say, I'm not that type that can just chill and say vibes and inshallah. I will, I'll come for you like unendingly. So I try to avoid unnecessary. I'm just like, oh, let my
that
merit and
makes
my
that makes a lot of sense, right?
yeah,
I I too I actually like, well, unlike you, I know how to actually like manage all of these things, right? However, um I think one thing that I would just advise is that you don't necessarily have to like join people to joke online. I'm just saying that put your own work out there. And how do you gain visibility? How do you gauge? How do you judge? How do you scale up? How do you gauge visibility in this sense now? You have to like set a goal. What does it mean for you to be visible? Because it's there are over. I feel like everybody in the world is a writer.
yeah,
We have over 7 billion people, right? So you are in an industry that is heavily competed, right? You so people have different segments of visibilities. I can say that Romeo, who is my friend, I don't know if you guys know him, Romeo Riogo. Of course, you should know him. You guys should know Romeo. Romeo said something, and I think that I actually like agree with him. He said that um, he said we were talking about he being a formidable writer in America, and he was like, "No, I don't think so. I don't think I'm a formidable writer in America. I think I'm actually I'm just another immigrant writer in America. But in Nigeria, I know where I'm loved. That is where I'm loved. I'm loved in Nigeria, and that's very understandable. That's he understanding his market. He understanding where people actually like associate with his writing properly, and people who see, appreciate, and value his writing. So he is able to like gauge his visibility. He knows that he's seen in Nigeria. He's on the scene. He's very physical there. You know, so it might actually also help you ignore whatever noise they make in the market of creative writing in Nigeria or whatever. It's just very important that your goal is to actually put your work out there. Just put it out there. Put it out there actually. Um, you read a work from somebody, just tweet at them, oh, I just read this particular point by this particular person, really great. I mean, and in fact, Twitter is more fun now. You can actually even just randomly say hashtag literary community, what work have you read by so identity that you love so much? People would react. That's a way to actually like collect visibility. Just continue to be in people's faces. I'm going to say this. I don't chat with people. I don't know how to actually. But does that make me less visible? No. We would have a very good conversation on the TL, on Instagram, on Facebook. But the point where the conversation goes from the TL, if it's not important, but it goes, you are reaching out to me because of the bands that we had on the TL to my DM, and I check the message. It's not something that I am interested in. I've ghosted the other day. I'm sorry. Do you understand? And it's because I don't exactly want to like invite people into my own space. It's already a whole lot. Do you understand? So, and then also because we all have things that we spend our time doing, So I think that a good way to actually like move towards the idea of visibility is to actually like know where you want to be visible first. And then you are in the UK. The literary community in the UK is thriving. Is thriving. Write to, okay, this is an assignment. Write to, I don't know the kind of poetry that you do, but write to Welcome Foundation to tell them that, oh, you're interested in actually like writing for some of their pieces.
Welcome Foundation.
Yeah, Welcome Foundation in London. They welcome people to actually like create poetry for some of their collections, you know, that, and then they would invite you to if they accept it, actually they'll probably pay you, and then they will invite you to their private viewing of some of their works. That way you're able to like connect. I've traveled to the UK twice to actually like, you know, connect with them, to do private viewing of my work and the work that they're actually like unveiling, you know, several things like that. There are people, you're in the UK, people go for poetry stand-ups, people go for poetry events. You don't necessarily have to read your work. You don't have to like, you know, you can just be there, listen. When people are doing meet and greet, I don't know how to do it, but I tell people to do it. Meet people, introduce yourself. Oh, this is my name. I write poetry. Go ahead and exchange social media, whatever. When next time you have a workout, your work would, if you post it, your work would one way or the other find them. They'll read it and then they'll probably talk about it. That's how influence actually grows, especially in new places.
Okay.
I hope with these few points of mine, I'll be able to answer your question.
You'll be able to convince me and not confuse me.
Convinced, I'm not convinced.
All right. So thank you so much for that, Adedayo. I was going to ask as a sort of follow-up to visibility now. In doing a research on the platforms that you like to be published, is there a way to determine which platform will give you the most visibility? Is there something to look out for to determine that, oh, this platform will actually give me the visibility that I want?
Well, you know, regarding that, two things are involved. It's either visibility or it's giving you a very strong byline. You know, are you saying this in terms of creative writing, or you're saying this in terms of general writing?
Creative writing, trying to build that that portfolio now, because you know,
Right.
like you mentioned, you start small by small, so to say. So byline here, a byline there, and then by the time you actually hit that big platform that you want to pitch to, you've collated these different bylines from different platforms. So how would you then build so that you're not just of course, it starts small, so I don't want to say you're not just submitting to maybe some little mark that does not even have that the SEO is not yet right, so that when people even search for you, your name will never come up, so to say. And then,
well, I think that's a very interesting question, but I didn't think about that when I started submitting my works to places. I think the first place that I actually got published was WRL, and it's everywhere on all of the interviews I've done. WRL is dear to my heart because Samson Kogo literally helped me edit my first poem, and then he published it. But starting from there, you probably start with people that you're able to work with. Either ways, if people punch in your name, it will populate. Whether this SEO is great or not, as long as your name is there and people got your name right, it will populate, right? So moving on from there, as you actually like better your own art, you're also like gauging yourself to know the kind of places that you feel like, now I feel like I'm worth this place. I deserve to be here. And you might get rejected a few times, but in fact, scratch that. You can get published anywhere. As long as you believe in your own writing, you've done your homework, you understand? You can get published anywhere. There are places that I have my work, and as at like 2019, 2020, I was like, I don't think, okay, when I got the email from African Poetry Book Fund that they were interested in actually like reading my chapbook manuscript, I wasn't sure that I was just in my HND. I was trying to just get done with HND, and I was doing nutritional dietetics. Although I was a writer, although I was a Nigerian poet, but I didn't think that I had that visibility or that influence to actually like get that sort of solicitation, because it's only by invite. But I got in regardless. And that's not the magic, or that's not the wonder. The wonder is that I actually like got in. I'm sure that they reach out to people across Africa and of course in the diaspora, because they publish people in the diaspora. Regardless, I compiled a body of work that is able to like, convince them that, oh, maybe I'm good enough. Maybe I'm actually like discussing something very important about Nigeria or about myself. It's you will get into places eventually, right? However, what is very important is that the work that you're actually like putting in all of those places, whether small or big, are they strong enough to stand the test of time? There are works that we published yesterday, and today you're like, fuck up, I shouldn't have published this work. It's not as true, Although yes, there's groups, you would always feel that way, but there are works that you see today and you're very ashamed of. But I have not answered your question. Now let me answer your question. Visibility is very important. And for you to know that, oh, this is a very, very good place to actually publish, is first off, check, there's what we call ranking of magazines, journals and literary magazines ranking. Poetry, for Poetry Foundation is number 1, then Poetry Society of America, then all of those Frontier, World Literature. I think World Literature today is number 51. And there are like 1 million journals in the world, over 1 million literary journals in the world. But you see that list, right? Be sure that they are actually like, those people made that list because they got to the top 100 because they either have their works in Best of Net, Pushcards, they are submitting works for awards, they are nominating works for awards, all of these things. So you want to put yourself in a place where they are able to like also give you even more, they are able to like put you forward to be more visible. Imagine a journal putting you forward as a Nigerian poet for Best American Poetry or Best American Essays. Well, Best American, because you submitted to them and they published you. Do you understand? So technically, all of this is actually like, you give a value and they are able to like, support your value to the very end. And the very end does not end. I still get, you published works 2 years ago and they are sending you emails to say, oh, we were randomly reading our past work and then we touched on this work and we think that it's very strong, we'll be submitting it for Pushcart Prize. All of these things visibility is very subjective, right? Because it depends on what you're looking for. How do you want to be seen? So yeah, have I answered your question?
Yes, you have. Thanks a lot. I don't know if anyone else here has questions. Please unmute yourself if you do. You can just ask your questions, unmute yourself. Okay, if there are no questions, I think I'll just ask
Good evening.
one. Oh, okay. Hi, go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mr. Adedayo. Thank you so much for this. Everything you've been talking about, I don't think I understand. I cannot relate because I'm not into poetry. So I'm a journalist, and I believe you have something for me as a journalist who wants to go international too.
Oh, okay. Amazing. Thank you very much for that. But you know that while I may have not mentioned the word journalist, but I was actually like touching up on the business side of writing. I think that a very good pipeline for journalists recently is the fact that they are able to like intern at places that are actually looking for internships. You can probably like reach out to me later. I can actually like connect you to 1 or 2 people that I know that one or 2 people that I know that are full-time journalists now. They are my friends, and they are able to like just connect you with internships. Apart from internships, there are certificate courses that people go for, that journalists go for. I don't know if you've done any of those. Apart from that, there are also like residencies and fellowships that people apply to that they get in. And the best thing is that I mean, the good thing about journalism is that you can actually just create a work of a research work and just publish on Medium and use that as your sample, because you indeed did the work and you did your research and you did your interviews and you actually like, oh yeah, sure. So I think that is actually like just very, very important that you never stop learning as a journalist. Journalism actually has to do with dealing with people, whether directly or indirectly. You're dealing with people. You're retelling accounts. You're relaying stories, right? And first off, to be a journalist, you have to like be very inquisitive. You have to be a very strong storyteller. So I think that it's whatever it is that we've been talking about should actually have been very relevant too. So I think the way to go now is that you check out internship positions for journalists. Actually, I'm able to like probably like the current editor-in-chief or editor at large at Ango. I don't know if you know Ango. Is my friend. Is my friend, and I don't know if you know Salah Kokpelumi, who writes for Al Jazeera, is also a brother. So I mean, these are people that I'm sure that they are in better position to actually like talk to you about what you can actually do to start up your journalism career. And yeah, great. So if you, I would, we can pick it up from there. Actually, we can like
Yes.
Is that
yes?
Have I like answered your question at all?
Okay, please you can just drop a chat, but I think it is. And just as a sort of follow-up to, I believe everything Adedayo has shared earlier really are quite relevant to both creatives, journalists, depending on how exactly you use it. Because I know that they are all like they are very, very, very relevant either ways. So I think it just depends on how you intend to use what he has shared. And of course, you can always follow up with him later on, like you mentioned. Okay, so I don't know. I think that should probably be the last question from the group. Anyone else has any questions? Want to round off in the next 1 to 2 minutes? But I wanted to ask this question just as a general question. Of course, you have touched on different things in the course of speaking, and I know this question has somehow been answered in the course of what you have said. But I just want to like make it basically to tap into your experience as an editor and yes, as an editor, and then for Agbowó, and then even the different platforms that you have worked with. What would you say are like common mistakes that creative journalists make when submitting their works to journals? What are like the general errors, at least from your experience, that people make when submitting their pitches, when submitting their works to platforms?
This is a very good question, but I don't know how to answer it. But I'm going to try. I think that I cannot exactly say mistakes, right? I think that it's just there are oversights. First off, you know that if you are submitting the work, you're also like they're like 300 other people are also like submitting the work. So the least you want to do is to actually like edit your own work yourself. Like however strong the story is, if it does not have the basic syntax, if it does not follow the basic verb object agreement rule, the subject object predicate, the basic the rudiment of English, if you are writing in English, of course, the rudiment, it might be very hard for editors to actually like me, I'm even very generous, but my own editors are very picky. Like I am a very generous person. If I feel like, oh, this work can actually work, I would send you an email to say, oh, let's do this, please edit this. I'll send you. But not every editor has the time, because the workload that they already have to like read is a lot. So as rudiments, don't make grammatical errors. 2, to use enticing fonts to like use EB Garamond, or at least some people are using brush scripts to submit story. I don't know if you know brush scripts, cursive to submit stories. Don't. Some people are writing their stories in colors, in flying colors, red, blue. Don't. These are as stupid as they may sound. These are things that we see actually, and they're funny because you would think that everybody that is submitted to you are normal. I don't say people are abnormal. I'd not say that too, but you would assume that people that are submitting are normal. You know, please don't submit in brush scripts. Don't submit like, why are you? Okay, now I don't troll. I don't want to troll, right? But what I'm saying in essence is that it's actually like just consider people that you're submitting to when you're submitting this stuff. So don't spoil their eyes with your fonts. And then the most important thing, read the submission guideline. We say not more than 5,000 words. You're sending a novel. Submit 3 poems. You're sending us an entire collection of poems. Don't. Read the guideline and stay very close to the team. Agbowó does a lot of team calls. Actually, we are looking for works that we're looking for people who can actually, like, convert, or who have done works in like in line with the teams that we've created. Yeah, I just remember something, Kelvin. I don't know if you've like published on the continent, but please try and publish on the continent. People actually like would remember your name if they read your work on the continent, and you're able to, like, build readership across the continent, and that grows. Actually, you get read from the continent out, if that makes any sense. As I was saying, so wait, what was I saying?
You're saying that Agbowó has calls based on themes.
We do team calls actually. So just stay true. So something happened. So we told people that currently we have a call open just for women writers, right? And then there was this guy that submitted to us and said "women issue" as the title of his story. We said just so that's, I mean, these are funny scenarios, right? But they're actually like the real-time experience of the editors actually, like, go through that they experience as and I already mentioned that. Just pay attention to the literary culture in the places that you're submitting to. If you notice that they don't use vulgar languages, like the Loft now, there was this time that the Loft actually like was under the Loft is, I think it's either based in the UK or in the US, but they were under fire for something, and they were attacking people because they said some people were using languages that are this, right? But we didn't understand that was their literary culture, and they didn't exactly like pass that message across. They weren't vocal about that. So when they started to bash people about the idea that people were using very violent languages, and I'm like, first of all, we are talking about people dying, about a real life experience. We're talking about Boko Haram, and you're saying that people are using violent language. What else are they supposed to use to tell that story? If you're not going to publish it, you're not going to publish it. But now we understand that the Loft, which is a very good place to actually like publish because the editor is actually quite nice, right? But now we understand their literary culture. And that's the thing about communicating both from both ends. Communicate your literary culture and then let them communicate their creative writing or whatever. Do you understand? So we both are able to like meet on each side, right? And so for example, now if Peace is actually pitching to Humango, know that Humango actually does a lot of work on insurgency, kidnapping, loss, the human angle of all of this banditry and all of this insurgencies, how they affect us as a country, but how they affect the personal lives of people. For example, a woman in Ibadan whose child was kidnapped, and then you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to do a piece, a journalistic, I'm going to do a feature piece on not just this woman, but the entire neighborhood. How do we feel in this neighborhood now? Do you understand? That is the human angle. How people that directly participate, that are directly affected by the events, actually feel about all of these things. Do you understand? So, did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. So, thank you so much for that. Thank you for this was supposed to be an hour session, but we've gone past time, and I must really say thank you for the way you have gone about the whole session. It's been more like a conversation, which is what we strive for, really. And so a big thank you, one for accepting our invitation and also for sharing so freely. And I believe we have taken all questions once again. This is just like a final in-house check to be sure that no one else asks questions. And of course, if you have questions, like Adedayo has rightly said, you can just hit him up on social media, Twitter. I know he's very active on Twitter, so you can hit him up on Twitter and you can talk to him directly. So at this point, let me say thank you to everyone who has attended the August edition of the StartCulture Speaker Series. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. We have a YouTube channel where we put past editions of our sessions. So it's a StartCulture on YouTube. You can just search for StartCulture on YouTube and you see past editions of our sessions. And of course, at the end of maybe by Monday thereabouts, today's session will also be up on YouTube. Everyone here would get access to the link. I believe as soon as Adedayo shares the PDF with me, I would also get it across to everyone. And so I'll send an email afterwards, let's say latest Monday, thereabouts, with details of the session recording and then a feedback survey for everyone that attended, and then, of course, the PDF file. So thank you, everyone, for attending. We look forward to hosting you one more time this year. And then have a good evening, everyone. Thank you, Adedayo. We are very, very grateful for your time. Thank you so very much.